think because it sticks so truly to the core principles, the outcomes are the outcomes that Montessori herself found. And I think there is a danger when you make something too eclectic and you take a little bit of this and a little bit of that, then you lose just the whole effectiveness of the method.
Nowadays, a lot of nurseries can call themselves Montessoris without actually having the foundation of Montessori principles. The thing that I liked about the Maria Montessori school was that it was purist. It has a very thorough approach to the Montessori way, and I didn't like this sort of idea of a mixed environment. I think Montessori works in and of itself.
I chose a Maria Montessori school because it is a pure translation of Maria Montessori's work, and so therefore I understand that my child is getting a fantastic Montessori education.
And we just felt if our son was going to go to a Montessori school, he should go to one where the whole philosophy is embraced.
She likes that it nurtures her independence, it's a space really that nurtures her curiosity. So now at home she's sort of keen to do everything for herself, and she does it competently. So she gets a great deal of satisfaction, and with each step that she takes, it's supported, it's guided. So she feels supported in her explorations. I think predominantly I really like the space. It's calm, it's structured, it's child-centered, which is the most important thing. It really allows them to find their own interests, explore them.
She can do what she likes, again, within reason, and she can move at her own pace. It's not a factory model where she gets 40 minutes to do math, 40 minutes to do English. She can explore different things, all within the same work cycle. The freedom of choice and the curiosity that continues to foster is something you just would not see in a traditional school.
I think Montessori teaches critical thinking and innovation and creativity that is the best way for children to learn. It's not the rote memorization, it's not teaching to a test. And when you get out into the real world, what people talk about is the lack of people having those critical thinking skills, the creativity and inspiration that I think Montessori fosters in children.
I've had two children come to the same school, two very different children. One's a girl, one's a boy. One, they liked completely different things at the school. One was very into reading and writing, and everything was catered for her there. And the other child was into using his hands and building things and things to do with geography and nature. And his days were filled with very interesting things for him to do. But he also did reading and writing too.
She has here the opportunity to choose her own activities at her own pace and complete them independently, and to talk to friends when she needs to, and to be alone when she needs to. So she's completely supported in being herself here. So who wouldn't be happy?
There's structure within the classroom, and yet there's freedom, because each child can choose what to do and is encouraged to see it through and to enjoy it.
Well, my third child is at Montessori school, so I had two older children who were at traditional nurseries, and they were, seemed quite happy, the school seemed well organised, but I always felt there was something missing. And I stumbled across Montessori by accident, and when I heard about the approach, it really made sense to me. It was developmentally based, it was following each child. Everybody seemed to have an individualised education plan, which, given how different children are, particularly in the early years, just made sense.
My children, both of them, have grown in confidence. They enjoy doing things for themselves. My little boy helps my daughter, who's younger than him.
I think what I sense so far is that they are independent in their thought, that they learn because they want to find out things for themselves, not because they're afraid of a grade or the competition with other children.
I think our son has benefited from being in a Montessori school in numerous ways, all very positive. One is that he is keen to learn, he is interested, he has a can-do attitude. So if he comes across an obstacle, he's very confident that he can find his way around that. And I think that comes from the way that he's been taught.
Well, I hope and I believe that Montessori supports children in being lifelong learners.
It continues to encourage our children to love school, to love education, to not be turned off by that sort of conventional sit down, be quiet, rote memorization form of learning. To me, there is nothing that can beat a child loving learning and not being turned off by education. Montessori encouraged that critical thinking, that innovative, inspirational, joyful learning that makes children enjoy school.
Intellectually, it's off the charts. I mean, she's just flying. She's doing more than we were doing, probably 2 years older than she was when we were kids. So academically, she's very challenged. So a child could be working on history, music, art, all in one go.
Well, my older daughter certainly has benefited from being able to work at her own pace in a hands-on way with materials. That means that she is really far and away advanced in mathematics for other children her age, and she enjoys learning. It's not work.
They learn without pressure. There's no expectations to reach certain deadlines at certain times, and as a result, we feel that the way he's learned has been very easy. Sort of almost without any effort. So when he could suddenly read and write at the age of 5, 6, it was as if it was kind of like by magic, because all the preparation had happened in the classroom with the sandpaper letters and the reading.
I like the fact that a lot of the materials are self-correcting, so the child can find their own path.
They love the community of the other children, the friends they make, the different age groups that they can engage in that give them different roles, being the smaller child or then the older one.
They get to blend age groups. So a 6-year-old could be working with a 3-year-old. In my daughter's class, a 9-year-old could be working with a 7-year-old.
The advantages are endless. The teachers are trained exquisitely by people who truly believe that each individual has something to offer, something beautiful to offer to the whole world.
One of the things we really like about Montessori is the knowledge that the teaching staff are really dedicated, and that our child is learning this philosophy that's been really carefully considered through observing children in detail and how they learn. So as parents, it gives you great confidence to know that your child is in a great environment in which to learn.
I was very impressed with the dedication of the staff when I came round. It was obvious that a lot of thought had been put into it. When I looked at other Montessori schools, there was clearly a whole range of Montessori schools, but the Maria Montessori AMI schools seemed to be a particularly mark of quality, I felt.
We loved the environment, the teaching environment. So the materials that the children work with are beautiful. The way that a tiny 3-year-old is sitting at a beautiful wooden desk with a glass vase of flowers, and they're taught to respect their environment, so they will be responsible for putting the flowers in the vase and cleaning it, so they learn to take care of this environment.
It's a whole community that the children have built for themselves, and they're encouraged to look after it.
I think they're socially really well adapted. They are able to look after children and create communities. And that they are happy beings that love to go to school. It supports the development of beings that are considerate, that are adaptable, that are humble, that learn for the love of learning, and so hopefully work towards the creation of a more peaceful and beautiful society.
Well, firstly, she's extremely happy to come to school. She's extremely happy when she leaves school.
My first child benefited from being at this school, from being very happy from a young age, being confident, being self-motivated, and if he could have stayed here till he was 18, I would have kept him here.
Yeah, I think, we see clearly it's not a form of education, it's a support for the development of the human being. And because I work myself with Montessori adolescents, I really get to see the outcome of those children who've gone through 3 to 6, 6 to 12, and I see these adolescents so on the brink of stepping into the adult world with so many qualities. They've taken the scientific observations and they have applied them all over the world and over the last 100 years, and they are still finding now in AMI schools the same kind of outcomes that Montessori talked about, said that we would. And I think because of that, you just couldn't go anywhere else. I mean, the AMI schools, when you go into them and you see the environments and the students in the environments functioning the way they do, you just realize this is the very best quality of Montessori you could ever find.